Do you feel lost in your life? Hey, cliff divers and fellow adventurers, welcome to the Cliff Diver's Edge. Today we are tackling a big one, so I went into all the comments and focused on some of the topics that were really important to you, the audience, the supporters, and the community. Feeling lost in your life, in your career, or maybe in your long-term relationship. All the kids moved out. And you haven't found your purposeful meaning in your life. Whatever it is, we're talking about feeling lost for today. So I mean, we've all been there, adrift in the sea, uncertain, lost at sea, no help, no SOS, but fear not, because just as a cliff diver climbs up the ladder into the unknown, fearful heights overlooking the ocean, what dive to do? Is it safe? Is the water deep enough? I'd never climbed this high before. We can use that feeling of being lost as a springboard to spearheading or breaking through our fears, worries, aloneness into strength, freedom, and happiness. Be sure to stick around to the end and find out how being a seasoned cliff diver has actually made me feel completely lost, confused, and disoriented in a way that led me to great successes. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below, because being part of this rewarding community is refreshing. And the more we get involved, the more our community grows on purpose, passion, doing what we love, inspiring those around us, and so on. So go ahead and like and subscribe and throw your comments down below. Today we're going to be talking about feeling lost in your life. So let's go right into talking about ice baths. Now, who enjoys getting into a tub of freezing water, right? Not too many, right? Even when I ask people, do they do like cold showers, like just even like cold showers, they always usually say like no. But hardly ever will I come across people just on regular day to day as far as ice baths and enjoying an ice bath. So I wanted to start by saying, when I started doing ice baths, that initial shock became a became a metaphor for overcoming fear. Trying to get myself out of a warm, comfortable bed in the morning to take that freeze plunge was near impossible. It was very, very tough because, it's almost like going to the gym, right? You don't want to do it, but when you do, it's invigorating. It changes your life. It changes your health. And we start to build habits and stuff. Some of the long hours of work that I was enduring, 12 and 15-hour work days. And then I had to force myself to like change and go outside in the freezing, snowy winter and feel that stabbing shock of the ice on my toes, heels, and legs, where I could really like get in to my like knees or my waist. Now, I could have just swept it under the rug and just said, I'll do it tomorrow. I could have just, watched TV and been comfortable. I think the words we're using are a lot are going to be like comfort zones, and things. So it's really about like pushing the boundaries, pushing through on some of the uncertainties and getting lost. And inside that lostness, we start discovering hidden strengths. Feeling a loss can be very, very similar to what we were just talking about, that ice bath, right? It's outside. You got it going in. You got it at the right temperature or the right ice in there, and you do it a few times. But maybe you took off a week or two to get back into it, right? To get off the couch, to hit it right after work. Really, really tough to do. So you're sort of lost in this. I think it would be a battle of being on the fence, right? Should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I get it? Find a new job? Should I not find a new job? Should I find a new significant other? Or should I not find a new significant other? Should I hit a gym, get better as far as weight loss and fitness, or not? Right? We're on the fence of this and this confusion. So we're almost like wobbling, on this fence. So feeling lost can be very, very similar to that, to discover our hidden resources within. For example, maybe you think you were like a terrible writer, but you want to write and create stories and character. That's always something you wanted to do and you would like to do. But how about this? How about this idea, everyone? How about winging it and write till the ink dries out? I believe it's Facebook or Google's or one of their offices has a banner that reads attack failure and attack it fast. Get so lost that you write horrible titles, sitcoms, books, movies, characters that you have no clue where those thoughts or ideas, characters, the guys and the girls, where that even came from, right? Get so lost in your writing that your hand hurts and you got to go through several different pens because you run out of ink, is what I'm saying. Right? How do we get that lost in something to keep doing it, but you're thinking like, what am I doing? Most videos I see on life coaching or finding your purpose, all across different channels in YouTube and things, focus on like ikigai and doing what you love, finding your purpose, doing like A, B, and C, and writing out the things you like. Try to do one of those things that you love this week. Writing out your whys. I hear that a lot, right? Write out your why in life. I know several different clients of mine here at the Cliff Divers Edge have written out their whys in life for years, and they still struggle to stay stuck where they're at, right? So here in the Cliff Divers Edge, today I'm urging you to do quite the opposite. Okay, I'm cheering you on to get so lost you can't even find your compass. All right, so lost. We're talking about feeling lost. We're embracing the opposite side of that and getting so lost you can't even find yourself. Embrace the unknown. Some people call it lost in paradise, right? Just like what we were just talking about, like writing. If you really have a thing for writing, I know a lot of men and women like knitting and sewing nowadays because you can make your own things and you can sew your own clothes and backpacks. What about getting out the sewing machine and making all the screw ups possible? Don't even worry about the lines, almost being like a kid coloring outside the lines, getting so lost in your knitting and your sewing that you're doing zigzag stitches up, forward, backward. You're taking different cloths and you're just having fun. Maybe you're turning on your favorite music just super loud and you're dancing while you're doing that, giving yourself so much freedom to screw up big time, to make all the mistakes and just have so much fun getting lost in paradise, lost in the woods. Did you ever get hopelessly lost in a foreign country? Panic sets in, right? Fear, worry, feeling scared, panic. There's all other stuff like, oh, what the f did I just do, right? But what happens next? You hustle, you figure solutions. You go from what the F am I going to do to, okay, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and before 15 minutes is up, I'm going to get this done. You meet the other side of you. We call it the hand of God when we were talking in one of my last videos of the statue of David, right? The hand of God, digging into that inner hand of strength and perseverance. You attract amazing people. You find resources, a tool to use, discover gems, and you learn to navigate with nothing but your wits. And I remember that time I got stranded in the Caribbean. Thinking back, I think it's one of the first times I can think of where I was like, oh shit, I am effed. And talk about lost. No phone, no map, pitch black, no light, broken down car, pure panic, disbelief. I was just knocked out for the count. But then I figured it out. And I found locals and explored the places on foot. And I ended up having an incredible, incredible time and night. I stumbled upon a secluded beach with perfect waves that were so, so pretty. And the sand was so soft. I took off my shoes and was just sort of like walking in the brisk softness. I met some friendly locals and learned to speak foreign language, eat exotic food, and find people to get me back to my hotel. How's that for feeling lost, right? Inside the lost, my message in today's Cliff Divers Edge video is really if you could really dive into being lost, ultimately, like stranded leads to a celebration of joyous adventure. And I've done it and experienced this on so many different occasions in my life, whether at different countries, whether it's different situations and businesses that I've managed and owned and things. There's always that springboard, that catapult through the what would it be called? Through the other side, or over the hill, or through the brick wall. That's just so mesmerizing. We rented an Airbnb, and when I got to the Airbnb wasn't even like the pictures. I don't even know where they came up with the pictures for the Airbnb. It was a beautiful house with a pool. It had it was right on a lake, so the pool was right on the lake, and it had some other things. So I got there, the place was just like stranded. It was all broken down. The pool was had all garbage in it, and the light was like hanging on the like cord. So it was, the pool wasn't even filled. It wasn't even working. It was just like super, super run down. So I got the hell out of there, right? It was like, oh, I got on the phone. I got out of that Airbnb. Like, okay, what am I going to do? I had this plan. Right? You're really like effed. Okay, so you really got yourself into this whole like panic mode and being lost. And then you start to figure it out, and you put one plus one is two, and then you go 2 plus 2 is 4, and figured it out. Long story short, for this Airbnb, I attracted a heated saltwater pool Airbnb on the other side of the town that was so glorious, and not only that, on the other side of the island, so it was up the street to the ocean and the sand and the restaurants. It was beautiful. And I remember those nights I was just swimming in that saltwater pool, heated with my goggles, and it was great. But if I would have never experienced that pain and that turmoil and that shock and that stress, I would have never been blessed with so much beauty and an amazing house, and buying groceries and cooking food that night, and going up to the beach and enjoying the restaurants right on the beach there. What's on the other side of stress and being like lost? If you're lost, how can you get even more lost? Deeper. How can you get deeper in the forest? Andre Gide, the French author, once said, "In order to discover new lands, one must be willing to lose sight of the shore for a very long time." So if you're feeling lost or unsure of your path, try letting go of who you think you should be. We were talking about those lines, the child in you, going outside of the lines as far as sewing or knitting, or writing a movie or a sitcom. Embrace the unknown and be open to new experiences, and trust that the journey will lead you exactly where you need to go. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come from losing ourselves completely. So how do we do that, right? How do we get even super lost and deeper? Ever since that scary night in the Caribbean, I've purposely embraced the feeling of getting lost in foreign countries. I did it in Thailand. I did it in Singapore. I remember doing it in Colombia and Costa Rica. I was in Manila 2 years ago, and I ditched the phone, the maps, the credit cards, and I'd explore, learning the city's rhythm. Fearful? Yes. Scared? Of course. And I came to realize that the city was a big, huge circle, that one street led to a main street, and the other certain streets connected and where the shops and plazas and restaurants were. And suddenly I found myself in Bizarro Land, which is the opposite. Bizarro Land from Jerry Seinfeld, the opposite. My fear, worry turned into a bustling night markets, hidden street foods, foreign locals hollering to me to join in a game of soccer, volleyball, and badminton to the wee hours of the night. A whole world opened up. Being lost here wasn't a dead end. It was a gateway to an unexpected experiences. I discovered a love of street food I never knew I had. I learned new rules of games and laughed with the joy of everyone taking selfies with the American. Most Ikigai advice tells you to find your passion or write out these 4 things you like. Write out your 5-year goals, and all that leads to is what? A lot of times, years and years of being in the same place, in the same miserable life, with the same miserable friends year after year after year. And then you're still thinking, well, maybe I should write out my whys. And maybe I should write out 5 things of what I love or what I'd like to do. But what if I said this? Get even more lost first. Get deeper in the forest. It's about pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone, right? We were talking about the ice baths. Maybe you're terrified of being alone. Get off your butt, get out of your house or apartment, and sit your butt right in the center of a city's food court or an activities park. And I remember a lot of people doing this in Medellin in Colombia, where they had these parks that were cool, and each park had a little different theme. And I remember a lot of the foreigners, the Americans living in Colombia, would do this to meet people and to talk to different people and to get out of their like a house or apartment and stuff. A lot of times in Colombia, since it's high up in altitude, it's very chilly. So people would go to the parks and they would talk to people. They would buy a coffee or a drink and just walk through the park. Sometimes they had bands and live music. So that's a great thing to do, is just to find what you're fearful of and go deep right in the center of that thick forest where you're super, super lost. Like we were talking like a food court at a shopping center. Jump into one of those and just sit there. We don't have to do anything, right? We're just feeling our fear and our worry and our stress. Check this out. A lot of times when I was performing dives, we would do it from a 1 meter to a 5 meter, to a 7 meter to a 10 meter. A lot of times I would do dives on a 3 meter and a 5 meter, and I would go up to the 10 meter knowing damn well I was too fearful of doing it from the 10 meter. So it's 9 feet higher. So I would sit up on the 10 meter and just practice mentally that my dive, nailing it. Practice my dive, nailing it. Practice my dive, nailing it. Then I'd run back down to the 7 or 5 meter and actually do the dive on the 5 or 7 meter. And I'd do this over and over and over. So what we're doing is sitting inside of our fear. Well, we're today talking a little bit about how do we sit in that fear? How do we sit in that ice bath and hold our breath because it's 35 degrees and you're freezing and shivering and you're just trying to hold and mentally, even your body is freezing, right? It's gasping for air. It's saying, let me out. It's in panic mode, right? Your heart starts to warm your body because your heart speeds up. And we're sitting in the midst of that fear. When I first started getting into the healthy habits of polar ice plunges, Wim Hof was a blessing and a great inspiration. He always said, if you always choose comfort, we never learn the deepest capabilities of our mind or body. Going deep and developing the willpower is the only way to confront fear and control it. In some of his videos and his breathing techniques made me so comfortable in 30-degree ice water filled with a lot of Epsom salt, right, to soothe that skin and those bones. A few years ago, I had a client that paid me to help her find her soulmate and a great partner for her. For her, the thought of going to a game, an event, an activity alone was like getting in an ice bath. It was cold, it was freezing, it was unknowing to her. It was painful, and always avoided. And sitting at home with her cat was so much more cozy, habitual, and comfortable. We were talking a lot about comfort and comfort zones and being nice and comfortable in your blanket. So I took her out to some concerts, plays, and activities in her city, and we had fun just exploring and meeting new people, and the creativity of going up to people and meeting people and shaking their hands and talking about similarities or their day or their activities as well. Then I set up a dance salsa night that we went to, and it was perfect for older singles. We walked in. I signed both of us in and met the instructor, and then poof, swish. I disappeared and abandoned her. That's right. I disappeared. I beelined it out the door. And after about 4 or 5 times of getting her out, the best thing for me to do, just like the mama eagle kicking her baby out of the nest to fly and soar, was to leave her on her own. So I left her there, first to feel her lostness and be fearful. Second, to say, oh shit, I gotta figure this out. And third, so she could soar and have fun. And soar and have fun she did. Hours later, I came back and seen her dancing and laughing with the other friends, way past the event was even over, having too much fun that she would have never had if Papa Bear would have never abandoned her. Alone, she found her inner strength, and soon she was thriving in social groups, happier than ever. Stepping outside of her comfort zone, even in a scary way, helped her discover a hidden passion for social dancing and a whole new network of friends that led to her finding her soulmate at a dance class. Together, they had so much in common as they are still living together in Arizona. And how cool is that, right? It's amazing that we don't talk about this enough, like really like facing our fears in life. And I know the world has come to a lot of things where comfort is the biggest thing, right? No one wants to say things, we just sweep it under the rug. No one wants to be accountable for things, right? We just say nothing. No one wants to speak up for themselves or stick up for the person that's being yelled at or like ridiculed because we don't want to do anything. We just want to do nothing. Nothing is better than doing something on that. So for here, we're talking a little bit about facing your fears, right? I know a lot of the people that have like the high stress, they say they have anxiety. That's what it is, high anxiety. We're talking a little bit about the opposite. How can we step inside that anxiety, inside of that ice bath, inside of that dance class where you're fearful and nervous and you don't even like it at first, and right, you're like, oh my goodness, what the f did I do? And then how do we get in there, get lost, have no boundaries, and then break through the other side? I'm talking about cliff diving. The truth is, sometimes even seasoned divers get lost, especially like when my toes are on the platform overlooking the water. Temperature pulls me astray. A wind, it chills my body, and disorientation sets in. A lot of times when you climb up higher, your balance, your equilibrium is off. For over a year, I had an ankle injury, and it was right in the arch of my foot. So I always had to wrap it. And then I also had to like pack it with ice after my events, especially if I had a lot of diving. I had like practices where I was like up and down the ladders and diving and bouncing on the springboard. And my ankle took a beating. So that injury plagues a lot into what my body's capable of doing, and then what like fears are in there as well, right? You have an injury, it could be a knee, it could be a hip, could be a shoulder. And as a cliff diver, you're thinking, well, I can't do that dive because, right, that's going to have some more torque on that twist. And it halters certain dives that you could do. And ultimately, right, halts your progress to getting better. Now, it was like super, super slow for that year. I couldn't add another, twist or a flip or a tuck, inside of that dive, whether it was a 3 meter or a 10 meter. Here's the thing, right? We don't panic. You rely on your training and your skills, and eventually you soar. Just like my client who soared in relationships and events that she was so fearful of, and she loved her cat and just staying at home. And eventually you get stronger, clearer, with a renewed appreciation for what? For once being lost. And I remember some of my first ice baths. And you're sitting there like, right, freezing, right, and you're thinking like, wow. But 2 years later, it's habit and rituals, and the water gets colder, and you could stay in it longer. And here's the crazy part. Cliff diving has made me feel lost in some amazing, amazing ways. A few times in different countries, all of my stuff was stolen on beaches while cliff diving. I panicked, I freaked out, and I figured it out. So I came up with new rules for what I take and how to keep my belongings on me while I climb through the paths, the prickers, the rocks, the shrubs, and the trails to take my next epic dive into the crystal salt water or the nice warm bath water, right, in the different islands. So some of the other fears I wanted to talk to on cliff diving is I started doing blindfolding dives a few years into my training. And boy, was that fearful. Taking it slow, I started like small jumps and twists and dives just off the 1 meter, which is barely above the water. A front flip or a gainer off the 3 meter, and that was it. It was like a one flip or, a back flip. Small, small steps. Very, very small, but very, very like fearful as well. Jumping with no visual reference forced me to trust my instincts, my body, and my precise timing of tucks, twists, kickouts, and like feeling that water and your toes on the entry on that. It's a leap of faith that builds incredible trust and self-awareness. And this translates perfectly to ikigai, right? Finding your purpose, trusting your gut, your like intuition, and feeling that inner compass, right? Earlier we talked about getting lost and losing your compass, right? Feeling that inner compass to guide you on your path, even when the way isn't even clear, right? We got so lost in the woods, in the forest, or you're writing, or sitting inside the park that we said for a social event. In Curacao years ago, I got to enjoy night dives. Talk about lost. I couldn't even see the ground where the dirt ends. And I know I'd probably do it again today, but it's sort of death defying because 1 inch further, you could fall towards your death, and you're on the cliff. It's dirt. You're trying to inch your toes, and then you're seeing where it's going. Someone who would go down in the water with their flashlights. So what a great experience for some night dives in Curacao. Could fall to your death. That's pretty fearful, right? Being lost on that. Counting how high the cliff is, picking a dive to do it, and then making sure that you could do a nice entry. Was the water deep enough? What's in the water? But diving and soaring in the moonlit night into the black pearl water was both terrifying and exhilarating. and to challenge my skills under the moon was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It is really, really amazing, right? Facing our fears, getting lost, and it's all about letting go of our control, right? Almost letting go of our control, trusting your thousands of reps you put in over the months, almost like my client who wanted to get out and find like a soulmate to enjoy life and to share life with and to build memories and share commonalities, right? We built up a few things. We went to this event. We took her over here. We did some shopping here. And then we go to a dance salsa event and we sign in. And without her knowing, right, I escape and quickly beeline it for the exit door to be on her own and soar. Right? So it's about letting go, but trusting those reps that you put in over the months, over the years, and embracing the unknown to discovering your hidden potential. You might be scared to take a chance on a new career path, but that leap of faith could lead you to something truly, truly fulfilling. And that's what we were talking about, right? Going into that fear, getting deep into that forest, jumping into that event or that local shopping center with a food court, right? In order to discover new lands, one must be willing to lose sight of the shore for a very, very long time. Remember that quote we were talking about earlier, right? In order to discover new lands, one must be willing to lose sight of the shore for a very, very long time. Now, for those that stuck around for what I promised, how being a seasoned cliff diver has actually made me feel completely lost, confused, and disoriented in a way that led me to the greatest successes, right? I promised you that in the beginning of the video. Maybe you're lost right now on your path, in the weeds, unclear, just going through the motions. So wake up, coffee, dishwasher, check text, go to work, come home tired, watch TV, make dinner, shower, go to bed. Next day, right? Wake up, coffee, dishwasher, check text, go to work, come home, tired, watch TV, make dinner, shower, go to bed. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Maybe that's you as far as that comfort zone and those habitual habits, right? And how do we jump into something and get so lost in it? Very earlier in the video, we're talking about writing, right? Writing and just getting lost outside of the boundaries. Right. If it's sewing, we were talking about sewing, getting a sewing machine, getting so lost in there, right? Ice bath, we were talking a little bit about the ice bath as well, and just taking that plunge and feeling our breath. So lost on the path. A few years ago, I was in Southeast Asia trying to get a boat ferry to a remote cliff diving island, Buho Rock. I had hired a taxi driver to take me to the ferry and the ticketing office. So he had assured me that I had to go to a certain street 15 miles away, which was probably like, 10 or 20 minutes away, to catch a ferry. And since it was a remote island, the boat only went there and came back 2 times a day. However, it was raining and pouring the last few days, so it was only 1 time a day, which meant I would have to sleep on the beach or in a hammock till sunrise or something. I'd have to figure that out, right? So that was the very start of this. Well, as being a traveler and a seasoned traveler, I've developed a very keen detail on getting specifics or going over details on my travels just to make sure everything's right. Airlines, flights, times, travel, all that. So I hired another taxi motorcycle driver a few hours later to go over my notes and have him translate. And we went over everything, and we went back to the ferry and the ticketing office and concluded that the earlier taxi driver would have taken me to a popular island that sounded like the same name of the remote island, Buho Rock, but it was Buho Island, with hotels and restaurants and a nice vacation spot. So I guess when the first taxi driver went to the ticketing office, he said, Buho Island or Buho, and they probably assumed, oh, okay, everyone wants to go to Buho Island. It has, restaurants and maybe shopping and hotels and things like that. However, I needed to land in Buho Rock, which is a cliff. It was a little cliff diving, island with all these little cliffs and planks and rope swings and ladders, and that's where I needed to get to. And I didn't even know I could get there because it was raining and it was like it wasn't monsoon season, but it was like 4 days of nonstop rain. It was like I had to wear flip flops. You couldn't wear shoes. Everything was like sopping wet. And there, they don't have like dryers. So you have to leave things out sort of to air dry and stuff. So it definitely wasn't the small cliff diving of Buho Rock I wanted to get to. So talk about being lost and confused, but going over some things. If I would have took the advice of that first taxi driver, I would have been in Buho Island, which would probably been like a flat island with a beach or something. And then who knows? I guess I figure out the island. So that ferry wasn't going to go there at all because of the rain and the thunderstorms. So I showed my taxi driver some of my cliff diving photos and was using like a Google Translator, which I always use in different countries, to get more accumulated with the language and speak the language and the dialect and the pronunciation, and which I always loved, right? And here's where the magic really gets in. So through the hills, through the mud roads, all in the rain on his motorcycle, through the rainy streets to a bridge. We stop. We get out. He goes over to the local kids and talks and laughs and points. And, who knows? I don't know what was going on. He comes back to the bike and says, we go with them down there. I'm like, huh? The bridge is muddy. It's a cliff. The cliff went like down like good 100 feet. It's like, whoa, what's going on? So we all packed our things and we go down this sloppy, swirly, muddy road to an old hotel built by a London, England owner that had all these rope swings and planks and huge rocks with wooden planks to jump off of and cliff dive off of. So for 3 hours in the pouring rain, I did all my cool dives and had so much fun with the kids that were so much a joy and were laughing and jumping off the planks and doing their own little creative things. The taxi driver didn't jump off any cliffs or into the water, but he was an amazing like photographer. I was like, push here and make sure, and it was like took some great photos. After the event, we walked up the slope up the rain. Is still raining, so we had a beautiful day in the rain doing all the cool enjoyment we would have enjoyed at Buho Rock, but this taxi driver knew that it was like 2 minutes down the road. So we go up the hill and we finally get back up to the bridge, and we all go to this little local restaurant and have dinner or like a evening lunch together. That's what's on the other side of going deeper in the lost than ever before, right? There's always an amazing like breakthrough. And years ago, I started really getting into this like when you're traveling and something screws up, just to always like say to myself, there's always a bounce on the other side of pain or frustration. Usually there's a breakthrough. There's something like blissful and enjoying, and it's almost like you should put yourself in that more often to say, okay, what's life gonna give me next? And right, we're sitting like just with your open hands, saying what gifts and what beautiful enjoyment am I about to receive in the next 15 minutes? So that's what's on the other side of going deeper and lost than ever before. And into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul is another quote I wanted to add in this video. And into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul. And I believe that author is John Muir. As far as losing yourself in something to find yourself later on in something so much more magical and beautiful and so much more rewarding, right? Leaving and getting out of a bad relationship because the support's not there and the negativity is there and stuff, and it took you a year or 2 or 3 years to do that and get out and find somebody else new, but then you're, who knows, enjoying this and bike riding here and going to the gym together and cooking together and things, and you're thinking, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought? Right now, I wanted to take some of the time to break down my life lessons really quick and why I'm urging you to get so lost and go beyond the opposite of fear. Right? A lot of times we approach fear, and like I said, in this world, in this day, in this age, we're doing nothing, right? Just to get by is better than doing something and taking a decision, right? I think that's the sort of the world and the culture that we're in right now. So I'm hoping that my cliff diving traveling lessons can guide you or be a good resource, for you. Number one lesson I wanted to share with everyone is breathe through the panic. Just like ice baths, you go from panic to breath holds, and just like when you're high up for the cliff diving, we pinch your nose and you hold your breath, or I'll sit there 20 or 50 feet over the water and just go over your dive. Once, twice, three, okay, land. Once, twice, three, land, over and over and over. All right, so breathe through the panic, right? Sit in that uncomfortable, right? Sit in the middle of a food court because you're so fearful of meeting new people or saying hi to somebody, and don't do anything at all. We're not asking you here on the Cliff Diver's Edge to do anything at all. Just to sit and, hold your breath inside that. And within a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 months, a year down the road, who can you become? The next thing I wanted to share is see yourself on the other side of the breakthrough. Several times through my cliff diving, I stood at the edge for eternity. I remember I was doing a dive, and I did it on the 3 meter, we did it on the 5 meter, and I go up to the 10 meter, and I was sitting up there. It seemed like an eternity. It was probably 5 minutes, and I was like just contemplating. My coach was calling me to say, just go down back to the 5 meter and just do a few more, and then run up to the 10 and just try to throw it, right? But it seemed like an eternity. So I know I feel with everyone that's lost, confused, or they're sitting in such uncertainty on the fence for a long time. So maybe it was perhaps even a new dive, or maybe I had to add another twist. Or I had to take it up from a 7 meter to a 10 meter, which is 9 feet higher than last run. And as a cliff diver, you physically do the dive with all the twists, movements, and kicks and entries 5, maybe 20 times before the leap, right? So we're just seeing yourself do it over and over and over, right? If you're fearful of, sewing or knitting or meeting other people or hitting the gym, right? Just seeing yourself do it, right? If we could put those habits together for 7 days or 21 days, where you wake up and instead of saying, well, I still can't get to the gym at 6 a.m. or at night at 9 or 10 p.m., right? But you can take those 7 days or those 21 days and see yourself in the gym, right? See yourself on the treadmill or doing a bench press or doing some, lunges and squats and stuff for 7 or 21 days, right? Just see yourself on the opposite side of that fear. Next point I wanted to say as far as a resource, remember you're alive and this isn't going to kill you. I don't know who it was. This was a few years ago that they said, well, if this isn't going to kill you, then what's your problem, right? If this isn't going to kill you, or right, what's your fear of meeting new people, trying to quit your job and get something else, just trying to find different examples, right? So remember, you're alive and it's not going to kill you. So just do it anyhow, right? That's a great resource. The next resource I want to really cover here at the end of this video is challenge your unhealthy thoughts. And I know in the Cliff Diver's Edge, I got a lot of videos on this about your unhealthy thoughts and how we talk to ourselves. Some of the things go like this, like, why me? This sucks. Using universals. This always happens to me, right? This always turns out this. I always, right? So we got to replace those with some joyous things of the process. I'm so lucky to have this fuel me. I'm so great that this fear is right in front of me. I'm so great that I experienced this. I've accomplished so much more than this. That's a really good one too. Using little lines to combat the negative thoughts that we have in our mind, right? I've accomplished so much more than this little blank. A classic one a lot of people go to too is on or before, a date, I have, blank. It's not about being perfect. It's about figuring it out and making your way work for you. Another great resource, right? It's not being perfect. We were talking about drawing outside of the lines. Can you imagine being a writer, like we covered in the beginning of this video, and you say, I want to write. And you gave yourself permission to write these men and women, these characters, and just scribble and write, and they could do whatever the heck they want. One guy's riding a motorcycle. The other guy loves tattoos. The other woman, owns a hair salon. Or you just keep writing and coming up with all these different scripts and these relationships, and giving your permission day after day to scribble outside the lines. How amazing would that be, right? As a cliff diver, I sort of had that passion, right? I remember when I first got into cliff diving, I came back from the islands, and I think it was they had some cliff diving rocks in Aruba, and I was like, that's pretty cool, right? And they do some backflips, and I whacked and I did some dives, and you're thinking, wow, I'm diving in a crystal clear bath water here in Aruba. And I took it back to the United States. I couldn't even find a coach, right? I tried for like 3 months calling all these different college coaches and high school coaches and stuff, trying to get in and train, right? I remember those first few months, my coach says, do whatever you want. And it was like, okay. And I would like dive, I would like twist, and he had a really cool thing. It's almost like Suzuki. To go to the Suzuki method really quick, they give a violin or a guitar to a baby, and that baby could whack it, that baby can destroy that guitar, that violin. They could so they give the instrument to that baby. But over and over and over, that baby is encouraged to screw it up, to mess it up, to screw around with the strings, because they know in 10 years, 20 years, the son or the daughter is going to be a whiz and a masterpiece at this. And that was pretty cool for looking back at my cliff diving. He's like, do what you want. It didn't even say like, oh, jump this way, or here we're going to do this. I do remember he kept saying like, reach high, right? When we spring off that springboard, he's like, reach as high as you can. Of those first few months to play, right? To go out and play, compared to making it so rigid and so like cookie cutter. You got to do A, you got to do B, you got to be C, and I probably would have never lasted, right? Because it was too rudimental and too mechanical, right? There's no fun in it. The next resource I wanted to give you is don't ask for advice, ask for direction. A lot of the times, 99% of the people have no clue of what your challenge is. So my resource for you today is don't ask for somebody's advice, what they would do, how they would do it. The best thing you can do is like ask them for like a destination, or hey, can I borrow your phone to make a phone call, or like do the Google Maps and things like that. But get out of the habit of asking somebody's advice to find things, because usually what happens, whether we're cliff diving, whether we're trying to find our own ikigai and our purpose, is we know ourselves better than anybody else. All right, we could ask for direction, but don't ask for advice. And the last resource and that I wanted to share here is getting lost in something else, hopefully a bigger forest or a country. When we were covering through this whole video, right, I was talking about getting lost in Manila. But years before that, right, the confusion and the loss and the panic in the Caribbean, right, set up some really good things, because there's so much beauty and so much, I don't know, it's like a zap of lightning, a flash of lightning that just is like so fast, because in, well, 1 minute, you're crying, you're fearful, you're scared out of your life, you're panicking, and 10 minutes later, you're blown away by what the universe and God really, gave you and honored you with. An amazing journey. So I wanted to end with those resources for you, just a few resources that might help guide you along your path for your career, for your relationships, and finding your own true purpose and passion. One of the most unwavering paths to finding your ikigai and your purpose, your significance, is to master the art of both selecting and nurturing the 5 individuals surrounding you, and the 5 you in turn guide and mentor. This journey is a testament to your determination to shape your destiny, and it's a pursuit that leads you to the profound wellspring of passion and purpose in your life. If you want to start living your dreams instead of worrying, contemplating, and working somewhere you hate that bring you down and you feel miserable, this is all information I cover step by step with instructions inside my Metamorphosis from Cloudy to Crystal Clear Cliff Diving Edge Academy. And I'll link the program down below. So if you'd like to check that out to escape the rat race and find your inner joy, go ahead and check out that video down below. If this video helped you out, be sure to like and subscribe down there, because that will help me and this community out grow, expand, helping each other grow, mentoring each other, and really, really building a really tight-knit family. Leave a comment below. I love hearing from you. So if you found this video helpful or useful, throw your comments in down below. What you liked, what are some of the resources you liked, what fears you set yourself in, and when you gotten lost, and when have you felt lost and really took it to the next level to go really deeper into the forest, for you, to really break through that other side with all the joys and the gifts that life gives you on the other side of being lost and confused. Thanks so much again, and we will see you in the next one.